So this video is going to be about 3 games in the last 5 years or so that really got under my skin. 2 of them, not really bad games at all, just not really what I expected. So probably these are the most disappointing games of the last couple of years for me. Number 3, I'll start with Star Wars: The Old Republic. That's the MMO. If you watched my MMO video, I said that the very first MMO experience I had was Star Wars Galaxies. That was an amazing MMO in my opinion. I know it had its flaws, it certainly wasn't a polished product by any means, but it brought a lot of community together. Some of the saddest videos I think that you can find in regards to gaming is watching the server being shut down for Star Wars Galaxies. A lot of the people poured their hearts into that game, their soul. They basically built these homes on these planets and built a community. And yeah, the communities started to dwindle as the populations declined, but it still had a core group of gamers. And I sort of regret giving that game up, just seeing how much people really got attached to that game. I mean, you could build full houses, you could have pets, all of that. So when they shut down the servers after The Old Republic was announced, a lot of the people flocked to The Old Republic. Everybody knew it wasn't going to be Star Wars Galaxies. They knew there was not going to be any player housing. Yeah, you got your own ship, but it really wasn't the same. What lured me to the game is I love Star Wars, first of all. That's no question. I'm definitely with Megan. Star Wars is better than Star Trek, so that's my biased point of view there. But what also lured me to it is I love BioWare games. Dragon Age, Mass Effect, amazing games. The dialogue options in both of those are just fantastic. It makes you feel like you're actually interacting and immersing with a world in a game. The problem with Star Wars Galaxies, technically, from a that's enough for time saying technology, but from a hardware standpoint is the load times. I have a fast computer. I have an i7 processor, 16 gigs of memory, solid state drive that I installed the game on, and a GeForce 560. So it kills the minimum requirements for the game, but every load screen was taking between 1 to 3 to 5 minutes to load. It just stacked up. And the problem was, like, you wanted to go to another planet. Say you're on a planet, you have to go to the docking bay to get to your ship. That's a load screen. You get into your ship from the docking bay. That's a load screen. You select the planet you want to go to and you fly there. That's a load screen. You exit your ship. Load screen. You exit that docking bay. Load screen. You're now on the planet. So 5 load screens, and each one of them taking 1 to 3 minutes to load. Not to mention loading the game itself. Seeing that icon on my desktop, it actually became a chore to double click. I was just cringing knowing that I'm going to be sitting at load screens for probably about 20 minutes before I got into the game. So that really bugged me. The combat really wasn't exciting. It was your standard hotkey MMO, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, shooting your guns. It was okay. It wasn't bad though. Like I said, the voice acting in it was brilliant. The only problem with it, MMOs are typically a game you want to race to get to the end. So for your first playthrough, you may listen to the dialogue and enjoy it. A lot of people just canceled right through it, and I know a lot of people, they either didn't listen to it at all, or just listened to the core story and moved along. I tried to listen to everything, and I got to about level 38 or so, maybe 39 or 40. On my bounty hunter, but I don't know, I didn't feel like I was making that much of a difference. And the problem with it as an MMO, Mass Effect or Dragon Age, if I accidentally select the wrong option, I mean there's some dialogue options in those games that you select expecting the character to say it in a different way or a different tone, and it comes out the complete opposite, and you're either a jerk or you do the wrong thing or you put off an NPC. So with an MMO, there's no quick load or anything like that. You're screwed. You made your decision, you made your bed, you lie in it. So you could screw up your character a little bit that way. And there wasn't any big changes that I noticed doing that. But yeah, you know. Moving on to number 2, Diablo 3. This, again, it's sort of like The Old Republic. It's not a bad game. It just isn't what I expected. And it's probably like Warcraft's vanilla. I probably have rose-colored glasses with it, but Diablo 2 is probably one of my favorite video game memories of all time, ever. I remember I was in band in high school, and we flew to Japan, and it was the summer after grade 11. I think this was 2000. And Diablo 2 released that summer, and I was thinking, oh hell, I'm in Japan for 2 weeks. Should have been a really exciting time. And don't get me wrong, it really was. It was a fantastic experience. I love going to Japan. But I really wanted to play Diablo 2. Well, while I was there staying with our billet family, I went out and bought a Japanese copy of Diablo 2. I didn't even think about the international install that, oh, it might not even work. It might be all in Japanese. The instruction manual is all in Japanese. The billet family let me load it onto their computer, and thank God, the voices were in English. There was no subtitles. I could make it all out. It was great. I played a little bit there, and I didn't waste my time in Japan just playing Diablo 2. I played it for one night, uninstalled it from their computer, thanked them, and I was just really excited to get home, but at the same time, of course, I'm exploring Japan, and that was a fantastic experience. But Diablo 2, what made that game a gem? It wasn't just the I'm looting all these items and I'm trying to find the next best improvements. I want my plus 60 vitality to go to plus 62 or anything like that. It basically became, I loved feeling powerful in that game. I loved teleporting into a mob of enemies on the hardest difficulty and just laying waste with all my spells and just seeing all these enemies drop. Nothing is more rewarding than here, like, I don't know, 50,000 gold just drop around you and seeing random items pop around. And it was just really exciting, and playing with friends through that. And the atmosphere of going into chat rooms and trade channels and trading gear, and it was amazing. In all the years I played Diablo 2, I never got one single Stone of Jordan. And I got a little bit miffed. It did become a currency. I know there's a lot of dupers and hackers out there. It's the same with Diablo 1, and not much can be helped about that, but that's the way it was. And then Diablo 3 came out. I was really pumped about this. Again, it wasn't a bad game. The problem I found with it is the story was just atrocious. Diablo 1 and Diablo 2 did not have that great of a story. So, not kidding myself there, but Diablo 3 was just the most predictable Michael Bay written movie I've ever experienced in a game. Like, every twist, no, you saw it coming. It's like, oh, how did that not happen? Oh, look at that. Yeah, and basically, they got rid of attribute points, so you couldn't make like the melee wizard or anything like that. You're stuck with your little abilities that you choose, and that's it. And the problem I found when you reached Inferno in the beginning, when the game first launched, it was a brick wall. Like, to beat the game or to advance in it, you had to farm gold, buy items on the auction house, and then the real money auction house opened up, and you had to open up your wallet to progress through that. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. And also, you had to spec a certain way. You had to choose certain abilities to refresh cooldowns, to raise your defenses. You no longer felt powerful. You felt like you're just button mashing your cooldowns and hoping things are proccing fast enough for you to stay alive. And I didn't like that. I liked just going in there and killing a lot. And you couldn't do that. Like, yeah, there's Archon builds once you get really powerful and all that, but it just did not have the same feeling. Yeah, they introduced monster power as well, which you could change the difficulty on Inferno, which was a nice addition, but it still didn't feel the same at all. Monster density, when that was introduced, that was really good as well, because the problem was, when the game first released, there were packs of enemies that were so spaced out that you never felt like you're really exploring or anything like that. And that's another thing. You never got the feeling that you're exploring a world in that game. You just sort of felt like you're there being guided through a theme park. And I've noticed that with a lot of Blizzard games. And yeah, I like the feeling of Act 2 of Diablo 2, where you're in a giant desert and you're literally exploring this giant desert, and there's all these little side tombs and all that. The side tombs in Diablo 3 is basically one little area or a basement cellar of a house. And I'm not even going to touch on the server stability issues that Diablo 3 had when the game first released. I mean, you bought a game for $60 and you couldn't play it for almost 2 weeks. Like, that was the biggest slap in the face. You'd come home, it's 6 o'clock at night, you have dinner, you just want to relax for a bit, you try logging into the game, and errors popping up over and over and over again. It just became so frustrating. And, you think you'd get used to it going through patches and Warcraft expansions, and no, you never get used to it. You never really get used to buying a product and not being able to use it. it's just a down-putting experience. And yeah, it made, I'm not saying I would never buy another Blizzard product, but it's made me think twice. But yeah, moving on to number 1. And I said 2 games on this list are not bad. That was The Old Republic and Diablo 3. Number 1 is Aliens Colonial Marines. Now, if you want to watch a vulgar video about how bad this game is, look up Angry Joe's review. I'm going to post it right here if I figure out annotations. Watch it. Disclaimer, he swears a lot, but it's how I feel. They really fucked it up. That's my one swear for the video. Basically, they pulled a bait and switch. I think it was E3 2011. 2011, yeah, it should have been that one. Where they showed this product where, you know, they got the forklifter and they're fighting the aliens and they're welding door shuts and there's turrets cutting down aliens and you're working as a unit. You know, a unit of colonial marines. And it was just terrible. Like, you play the game, you install it, you're excited to experience these moments that you saw in this gameplay, and they don't exist. You're left with this one AI buddy who stands in hallways and gets in your way, so you literally could not even progress. I've had him pin me against the wall and he would not move. And there's nothing I could do except reload the game from my last save point. I would lose 20 to 30 minutes of gameplay. There you have your red dot sight and you'd be looking down it and you'd be aiming at a target, and where you're shooting is not where those bullets are going on that red dot sight. It was frustrating. The guns felt floaty, they felt like they had no impact, and it just makes me think, like, what the hell happened? I remember the Alien vs. Predator games where I'm shooting at aliens and parts are ripping off of them. Those games are probably the best example of impact in games with firearms. That and Killing Floor. Fantastic game. But yeah, I just felt like I was shooting a water gun at them and they're sort of falling apart and they die and they would just disappear. There's no bodies or anything like that, no physics to it. Another problem I had, and the reason why I got the game, aside from the bait and switch, is I watched one review. I think it may have been an IGN review, or maybe not even a review, but a gameplay, where you're sneaking through the sewers. The one good level where your weapons are gone from you and you're sneaking through the sewers and aliens are coming up, but they can't see. It was a special type of xenomorph. And I was like, oh man, this is just intense. I have to get this. So I got it. And yeah, it's literally about a 10-minute mission. And to get around it, you literally just stand still once those aliens move. And once you learn the little trick that they even tell you how to do it, it removes all tension from the entire level. There's nothing to it. But the last boss fight was a complete smack in the face. It literally was, you hit 4 or 5 switches, and you hit a 6th button, and you killed the queen. There was no challenge. There was no boss fight. There was one forklift battle where you get into the lifter, or the loader, and you literally just click right, left, right, left, right, left, and you're swinging your arms, and this bull alien or whatever, you're just knocking it back and forth. In the meantime, the camera angle is just going berserk, because for whatever reason, it just seemed like it was improperly coded. Also, speaking about AI as earlier, the Alien AI is probably the dumbest I've ever seen. I played the game on the hardest difficulty to have a challenge. They would jump out of the wall, stand in front of me. Stand. They're not crouched, they would stand up and just hiss. Occasionally they would claw at me. Occasionally they would just run on ceilings. They would not attack me. There was no flanking tactic. I remember AVP 2, where my motion sensor was hooked onto my gun and I was creeping through a doorway and the door closed behind me and my motion sensor went off because of the door and I lost my I lost my shit. I literally turned around and just started gunning the door because the atmosphere that game built was amazing. Aliens would literally flank you from any direction. And Aliens Colonial Marines promised that, and they did not deliver. I would not wish that game on my enemy. I spent $60 and I didn't even try and petition for a refund like a lot of people did on the Steam forums. It's just, I learned my lesson. I learned my lesson to wait a week or two, wait for an actual review to come out. I wish I watched Angry Joe's review, and yeah, I've just learned my lesson. So buyer beware for certain games. If you want to try any of these games above, I would recommend Old Republic. It's free to play. I have heard that they are a bit chintzy though. I have heard that they do like to charge you extra money to get extra action bars. Diablo 3, I know it's coming to consoles. If you console gamers want to play it and live a little bit of nostalgia that was Diablo 2, it won't offer you that experience. Torchlight 2 and Path of Exile on PC will probably give you that best experience. Aliens, Colonial Marines, don't. Just don't. Anyways, that's my video for the day. Thank you very much, guys. Have a good day.